Well, hello everyone and welcome to Viking.TV. My name's Neil and I'm based in Viking's London office where I am currently, and it is 7 p.m. So wherever in the world that you are, a very warm welcome to the Viking.TV. Now tonight, or today, wherever you are, we're going to be talking about Iceland and Iceland's natural beauty. And it's a nice, beautiful 7-night itinerary, and we operate it between June and August in 2023 and 2024. And it's a really nice itinerary to give you a really good insight into this fascinating land. Now, in London yesterday, it was 103 degrees. I think we were up to about 39 to 41 degrees, which is the equivalent of about 101, 102 degrees. So it's very, very warm. So I think about time we went over to some cooler climes and headed over to Iceland for this 20-minute presentation to give you the best of what Iceland has to offer. And I'll be back after the presentation to answer any questions that you have, or hopefully answer as many questions that I can. So I'll speak to you later. Thank you very much.
Welcome to Iceland's natural beauty, an island of only around 350,000 inhabitants, wide open spaces, meaning there's lots of room to reconnect with nature. And this voyage is an 8-day round trip from Reykjavík, focusing solely on Iceland. And it's one of our destination-focused itineraries that calls on a new port every day without any day spent at sea. Now that means that you'll be able to maximise your time on shore and plenty of time to immerse yourself in Iceland's magnificent nature, wildlife and fascinating culture. So let's take a look at the itinerary map to get a better understanding of this sailing. Your 8-day voyage begins with an overnight stay in Reykjavík on the southwest coast of Iceland. Then you'll travel north to ĺsafjördur and Akureyri. On the eastern coast you will call on ĺsafjördur and Tupuhauge. On your return to Reykjavík you will make a final stop in the Westman Islands. In total, you'll experience the majesty of 6 unique Icelandic ports, making a full 360-degree trip around the island. Now, one of the most frequently asked questions that we get is when is the best time to visit Iceland? So this itinerary, Iceland's natural beauty, operates between June and the middle of August, and we're on sale currently for 2023 and 2024. Now, one of the advantages of travelling at this time of year is that you will get very, very long days. In fact, you'll get the midnight sun in certain parts of Iceland. Even in Reykjavík, the sun will set there around midnight and then rise again 3 hours later. Now, temperature-wise, if you take July as an example, it's around 14 degrees centigrade, 57 degrees Fahrenheit. But my advice for anybody travelling to Scandinavia or Northern Europe in the summer is always pack in layers. So that's t-shirts, lightweight jumpers, a wind cheater, a rain jacket, and always remember good quality walking shoes. But also don't forget your sunscreen and your shades as well. Now there's a saying in Norway, there's no such thing as bad weather, it's only bad clothing. And that really applies to Iceland as well. But you're in Iceland, you've got these majestic landscapes, you've got stunning scenery, you've got amazing wildlife. So really, the weather is secondary on this trip. It's time to embark the voyage, and we embark the voyage in Reykjavík. Now, it's believed that today's Iceland was discovered around 874 AD by Norwegian explorer Ingolfur Arnarson. As he and his Vikings searched for the site of their future settlement, they were drawn to the steam and smoke rising near the bay, and they named their discovery Reykjavík, meaning Bay of Smokes. Now today, Reykjavík is one of the cleanest and most eco-friendly cities in the world. Now if you've arranged your air travel through Viking, we'll transfer you from the airport to your awaiting ocean ship. And your ship will be docked overnight in Reykjavík, so you'll have time to settle into your stateroom and explore all that your ship has to offer. Now, I'm quite happy to sit here all day and all night and tell you about these truly magnificent, unique ocean ships that I absolutely love sailing on. Now, each ship only takes 930 guests, and that's small in comparison to the big ocean liners that are out there nowadays. But there's so much space inside. From the living room, where you can sit and enjoy a complimentary specialty coffee and you can chat to your fellow travellers, to the Explorer Lounge, which has got floor-to-ceiling panoramic windows where you can sit back, relax and just watch the scenery glide by. And the Explorer Lounge is home to Mamsons, or Norwegian deli, where you can have some homemade favourites, including the unique waffles for breakfast. We have got alternative dining venues at no extra charge. We've got Wi-Fi at no extra charge. You've got beer, wine and soft drinks included with your lunch and dinner. You've got complimentary use of the spa included. And you've also got a complimentary shore excursion in each port of call. Now, to enhance your experience, we also offer optional shore excursions, which can be booked on My Viking Journey, including some privileged access experiences, which are unique to Viking. So overall, there are so many inclusions within our price that it does represent exceptional value for money. Remaining in Reykjavík, Iceland's capital, which is watched over by the Esja mountain range, you'll see the city's highlights up close, including the charming cathedral and the colourful streets. And you can admire the cityscape from the Perlin, and the Perlin's a hilltop glass-domed landmark offering spectacular city views. Now, for those of you interested in the natural world, we offer multiple ways to experience the island of fire and ice. Now, you might choose to visit Gullfoss, or the Golden Falls, which is the nation's most famous waterfall. And from here, you can witness how it plunges into Hvitja Canyon. Now, for Iceland's volcanic and glacial activity, I'd recommend a stop at Heikdalur geothermal area. And from here, you can witness the eruption of the Strucker geyser. And you can drive across the Hellshoy mountain plateau, which is a site of post-glacial lava fields. And you'll also see the Viking site and UNESCO World Heritage Site of Thingvellir National Park, where Iceland's first National Assembly was founded back in 930 AD. Now, remaining in Reykjavík, and alternatively, you might want to choose to set off by boat in search of whales. Now, Iceland is the whale-watching capital of Northern Europe and home to more than a dozen of the world's whale species. Now, although sightings can never be guaranteed, the chances of spotting whales here are excellent, so please always remember your camera and binoculars. Another optional is for you to choose to discover the volcanic landscapes of the Hálnafjörður while riding a purebred Icelandic horse. Now, these Icelandic horses are direct descendants of their Viking ancestors, and these sturdy animals are known for their calm and friendly disposition. And you'll enjoy a leisurely ride across the lava fields of Mount Helgafell and the Kaldasal area. Sailing on, we are now in Ísafjördur. It was founded in the 9th century by the Viking Helgi Magri Hrolfsson. Its location at the base of dramatic mountain slopes on a spit of sand made this port an important trading post in the 16th and 17th centuries. Today, Ísafjördur is home to one of the largest fisheries in Iceland. Now, for the more adventurous, kayaking and an ATV ride are the two best options for exploring the area. Now, the calm waters of the Ísafjörd have made it the kayaking centre of Iceland. And when you're out and about, please keep your eyes peeled for birds and other wildlife. And you might even be lucky enough to see seals bobbing in the water. Now, by ATV, you'll ride over the rugged terrain of the Westfjords peninsula, and you'll enjoy magnificent views over the port city of Ísafjörður and stunning Skáldsfjörður. Iceland is home to many bird species, and here are two, the white-tailed eagle and the puffin. And you may see these and many more birds if you choose to tour nearby Vigor Island. Now, despite being the second largest island in Ísafjörður Bay, the island has only 10 inhabitants who live off the land by harvesting the down of the eider, a northern sea duck. And eider down is the softest, lightest down in the world, and therefore highly sought after. Now, we also have a local life excursion available, and this is part of the Viking way of exploration. And local life experiences provide fascinating insights that reveal the rhythms of daily living. Now here you can enjoy a scenic coach journey alongside Iceland's largest fjord and a visit to the remote Ĺsafjördur turf farm, and you may even see friendly seals lounging on the rocks. Then you'll learn about farm life here in the early 1900s and gain a rare insight into how residents survived in such harsh conditions. You'll also watch a demonstration and try your hand at churning fresh cream into butter. Now next we move on to Akureyri, and Akureyri only has around 20,000 inhabitants, making it actually one of the larger towns in Iceland. So welcome to Akureyri, Iceland's second largest city and known as capital of the north. You're now at the midway point of your journey with Viking. Now the city was founded by the Viking Helgi Magri Hrolfsson in the 9th century, and the 17th century developed into a Danish trading post. Today, it remains the gateway to some of Iceland's most breathtaking natural treasures. Now you may choose to travel by motor coach along the Ĺsafjördur, Iceland's longest fjord, and take in stunning views of Akureyri and the surrounding mountains. You'll also have the chance to see the majestic Godafoss waterfall, the waterfall of the gods, Mývatn volcanic lake area, and the towering lava castles and grottos of the Dimborgi site. Now the mild climate here is unusual for a northern city just 62 miles from the Arctic Circle. And this location has made Akureyri an ice-free port, and it's really helped it thrive as an agricultural centre. Now you can learn more about Icelandic farm life during a visit to the Lufas Museum. And on this tour, you'll also travel along the slopes of Alhædi Mountain and through the Vaglasogar forest to gaze upon the Godafoss waterfall. Now Ísafjördur enjoys a mountainous setting at the end of a fjord, and it was an early Viking settlement. Then in 1848 it hosted the world's first modern whaling station. Now the town also pioneered international communications in 1906 when it welcomed the first telegraph cable linking Iceland to Europe. Today, colourful wooden homes line the streets of Ísafjördur, all overseen by Mounts Bjofur and Strantinder. Now, Ísafjördur is considered one of Iceland's most picturesque towns, and you can discover it on a leisurely walking tour. Now, your guide will tell you about the town's flourishing art scenes and its rich history as a trading post that dates back to the mid-19th century. And many of the colourful homes you will see were built from high-quality, ready-made house kits imported from Norway, giving Ísafjördur an early 20th century ambience. Now, local cuisine is one of the ways in which Viking immerses you in your destinations. Now, fish is an important source of protein for Icelanders and rather easy to come by, as fishing has been a dominant industry here for centuries. Now, some of the most abundant fish in Iceland includes cod, haddock, salmon and mackerel. And here we have a sample dish of steamed cod and potatoes, either on shore or on board. And you may also have a chance to enjoy fish in the traditional stew known as plakkfiskur. Welcome to Dopjögur, a trading centre since the 16th century and a home to under 300 inhabitants. Now, Dopjögur has adopted the cultural trend known as Cittaslow, which is dedicated to the promotion of sustainable living by improving the quality of life for its residents. Now, this encompasses the production of local, authentic products, quality food based on the slow food philosophy, local craft traditions, and the protection of the environment. Now, we have several walking tours in which you will discover the dramatic landscapes and wildlife of East Iceland. By the harbour of Dopjögur is Merry Bay, and you'll find a unique art installation in the form of 34 oversized granite eggs, and each represents various local bird species, one of which is the white gannet, which is shown here. Or you might choose to visit Dopjögur's beautiful waterfall called Jökulfoss. Now, another striking feature of East Iceland is its black sand beaches, and these are a result of the area's intense volcanic activity. And these beaches from the land bridge to several coastal islands, and on a clear day you can see the distant uninhabited island of Papi. Now, sheep were originally imported from Norway, And by May, when lambing season begins, and right into the summer, the number of sheep in Iceland outnumbers the people. Now, lamb is one of Iceland's most prized foods. They're free range and eat a natural diet. An Icelandic lamb can be slow roasted or enjoyed in soups and stews. Now, kjötsúpa is a delicious Icelandic lamb soup made with lamb shank, potatoes, turnips, carrots and onions. Another favourite Icelandic foods include rye bread, dry cod fish and skyr, Icelandic yogurt. Now, Heimaey is the only populated island in the Westman Islands. Now, during the summer months, humans are severely outnumbered by the millions of puffins that visit the island, along with the countless other species who migrate here to feed and breed, including whales and seals. Now, we have two opportunities for you to see the coast and local wildlife by boat. The first one is available at a much more demanding pace, and you'll board a rigid inflatable boat or rib, and on your tour you'll view the lava fields that formed after Ælfell's infamous volcanic eruption in 1973. You'll travel past the seabird paradise of Stagabot and view the many cliffs and sea caves that dot the coastline. And if you're lucky, you may spot orcas, dolphins and porpoises that inhabit these waters. Now, for additional opportunities to spot seabirds and marine life at a more leisurely pace, we have an easy boat tour. And on this tour, you'll sail through the stunning natural harbour and set your sights on the towering clifftops. And you'll learn about the variety of bird life that migrate here to breed, as well as mentioned earlier, the orcas, dolphins and porpoises that call this area home. Finally, at the Sea Life Trust Beluga Whale Sanctuary, you'll learn about conservation efforts. Now, the sanctuary provides formerly captive belugas with a safe and natural environment. Then you'll embark on a short boat ride of around 30 minutes, and you're able to view these incredibly social and expressive mammals from a discreet distance. Now, your journey with Viking concludes here in Reykjavík, and you can take a final look around this charming city, watched over by the majestic Esja mountain range. And after breakfast on board, you'll disembark and you'll proceed to the airport for your return flight home. Of course, we do offer a whole range of post extensions which are available to look at Viking.com. So if you're only going to visit this part of the world maybe once, I would definitely recommend that you look to extend your stay and make the most out of your voyage to Iceland's natural beauty. Now, we do offer several other itineraries which feature Iceland. We have iconic Iceland, Greenland and Canada, which is a very unique itinerary taken in 3 destinations. We have Iceland, Norway, Arctic Explorer, which will actually go as far north as Svalbard in Norway, which is home of the polar bear. And we have Iceland's majestic landscape, which again is an itinerary solely focusing on Iceland, however is a 12-day rather than an 8-day experience. And I'm now available to answer any questions that you may have, and hopefully I can answer them. If I can't answer them, then certainly we'll do our best to get.
Well, welcome back, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that short presentation. It only lasted around 17 or 18 minutes, but it's to give you really just a bit of a snapshot of the itinerary that we actually offer. So I will do my best to answer as many questions as I can. My throat was going a bit there, so I do apologise. I blame the high temperatures outside, but hopefully we're in that good place now. So we've got Heather asking the questions tonight, so we ahead.
Thank you, Neil. Our first question tonight is from Eric in Florida, and he says, we are booked to depart in August 2023. Which species of whales might we see?
Thanks, Eric, for the question. I think one of the key things about going to Iceland is the fact that it's all about, it is all about the wildlife, and, it's about the sort of rugged beauty of the country. There's around 12 to 15 species of whale that you can see over in Iceland. So you've got for example, the minke and the blue. So I'm just trying to remember what other ones we've got actually. The humpback, the fin. There's yeah, there's around 12 to 15 species over there. I think the key thing is, though, that especially when you're on the ship, just to you know, keep your binoculars with you and take a jacket with you so you're easy to sort of get out on deck to see what's happening. And then also we also offer a lot of excursions as well, which will take you out to certainly go whale watching. So there's lots of opportunities. Never a guarantee like anything, but it's certainly one of the best places in the world to try and spot them. So yeah, right time of year and right place to visit, Eric.
Wonderful, thank you, Neil. Our next question here is from Layla. She's in Jacksonville in the United States, and she says, thank you very much for the presentation. I'm wondering how many hours of daylight are there in Iceland over the summer?
Thanks, Layla. Lots in the summer months. So you've really got to think within the summer months, especially in Northern Europe and Iceland, very, very long days in the summer compared to very short days in the winter. So in most parts of Iceland, I mean, you will get 24 hours of daylight, especially from the back end of June, which is the longest day, through to sort of end July into August, exceptionally long days. And even in places like Reykjavík, you know, I think I mentioned in my presentation that the sun only really sets for 2 or 3 hours, and even then, it's not it doesn't go really, really dark. You know, it's like this, I suppose, an Arctic light. I mean, you get that in the winter months, the Polaris in the winter, and in the summer, you just get like a twilight, really. So it never goes completely dark, but very, very long days. It's like anywhere, you know, whenever I travel up to that part of the world, I never want to go to my bed. I want to sit on the veranda, or I want to be in the explorer's lounge, because you lose track of time and what time it is. But you want to see everything that the destination has to offer. And if you look at your watch and it's 3 o'clock in the morning, and it's still broad daylight out there. So yeah, to answer your question, very, very long days. And that's why we really operate between June and August to get the best of Iceland, what Iceland has to offer.
Wonderful, thank you, Neil. Our next question here has come in from Gregory in California in the United States. And he asks, can you tell us a bit more about what we can expect to see in Akureyri?
Thanks, Gregory. So in Akureyri, there's a really good farm visit, which will really give you an idea and an indication of local life in Iceland. And you can see how the locals live and how they make their money and how they sort of produce sort of on the farm. So you're really experiencing local life when you're in Akureyri. There's also a lovely church in that area as well. And if I'm not mistaken, they were the sort of custodians of one of the stained glass windows from Coventry Cathedral in the UK, which was stored over in Akureyri. But like so, lots of these sort of towns and villages within Iceland, you know, there's only 350,000 or so inhabitants. They're very small. They're very proud of the sort of you know, towns and villages that they come from, and you know, there's a lot of obviously history and Viking history attached there as well. So certainly, a lot of it is about local life and really just seeing how the locals live in Iceland. Certainly in Akureyri, there's a really nice church, and also we have a lot of optional excursions as well that you can take. And you'll get full details of that sent to you prior to your travel or on My Viking Journey.
Fantastic, thank you, Neil. We've got Teresa here in Boston, and she says, I'm booked for next year and would like to do the excursion Iceland on horseback. Do I need to be an experienced rider for this?
Thanks for the question. No, you don't. You don't have to be an experienced rider. You're with a member of the excursion team and the local provider that will give you all the sort of training that you need, if you like, in order to take part in the excursion. So there's no, you don't have to be an experienced horse rider for that as well. And just as an aside, the great thing is with our excursions that we break them into categories, sort of from moderate to difficult. From easy, moderate to difficult, so you can really pick and choose which excursion that you want to go on. So, for example, if you're not maybe that brilliant on foot, or don't want exhausting walks, then you can really pick and choose which excursion that you like. But for the horse riding one, absolutely not. You can be very, you can be a novice. Absolutely no problem at all with that. So yeah, it's a nice excursion to take, actually, just to sort of glide along and take the local life in, really.
Fantastic, thank you. Now we have Amelia in Rayleigh in the United States, and she says, I'm interested in this cruise to see the bird life. Will there be opportunities to see puffins while the ship is sailing around Iceland?
Thanks, Amelia. There is, and Iceland is one of the key places that you can go to visit the puffins or to see puffins. So, there's never any guarantee, as we say, with any form of wildlife, etc. But there is opportunities, and there's an excursion that you can take as well to see puffins. So, yeah, you're in a good place to try and see that. Just trying to remember where. I have to double check exactly where the excursion is to actually see them, but you have got the opportunity there. And I would probably say always take your binoculars, and if you've not got binoculars in the majority of the staterooms, you'll find a pair of binoculars just in the sort of hidden vanity drawer that opens up in the stateroom. There's generally a pair of binoculars in there, so take them with you at all times. But absolutely, you can. A good place to see puffins on this itinerary.
Wonderful, thank you. Our next question here is coming in from Oliver in Seattle, and he says, is there an opportunity to visit a glacier during this itinerary?
Thanks for the question. Yes, there is. And you will be able to take a shorter excursion, an optional excursion, generally from the Reykjavík area, where you can go and visit glaciers. So that's absolutely possible.
Thank you. So Robert now in Holland in the United States says, I hear that people in Iceland actually still believe in elves and trolls. Is this something you know to be true?
Thanks, Robert. I believe it is to be true. And it's like in Norway, where there's a lot of sort of troll stories. It's very, very similar to Iceland, where you've got elves and trolls, and there's many locals that will tell you many stories about the whys and wherefores of the elves. I suppose it's a bit similar to in Scotland, where there's all these stories about the Loch Ness Monster. I've never actually seen the Loch Ness Monster, but I do believe that the Loch Ness Monster exists. So you'll have to take the locals' word for it when you're over there, Robert.
Wonderful. Thank you, Neil. Next question coming in here from Ricky in Asheville in the United States, and he says, will we see any volcanoes while on this cruise?
Thanks, Ricky. Yes, you will. And there's also an excursion that we offer by sort of SUV or the sort of four-wheel drive type vehicle that will take you on to one of the extinct volcanoes that last erupted in 1973. So yes, there's absolutely, yeah, that's certainly part of the course when you're over in Iceland. You'll be able to do that, no problem.
Thank you. We have a question here from Willie in San Diego, California, and he says, what kind of lectures can we expect to hear during this journey?
Thanks, Willie. Can I just double check, is my screen frozen? Or is it?
It looks okay to me.
Oh, does it? It must be at my end. I'm not having the best of technology this evening, but it's certainly frozen on my screen. So as long as you can not necessarily see me, but as long as you can hear me, then that's certainly the main thing. I think that's the great thing about being on a Viking cruise, that we have our onboard lecturers, and we're very, very proud of the lecturers that we have on board, and they can give you a very, very good insight into the area that you're visiting. And they're so experienced that you can always, ask them any questions that they never covered in the presentation. So that is, first of all, that you're going with, a small ship cruise line with only 930 guests, but you've got that intimate contact with the guest lecturer to ask any questions, and if you've got a thirst for knowledge, it's really great that you can actually have that sort of experience with them. In terms of lectures, there is a lot around the fire and ice, and so a lot around the sort of certainly the landscapes of Iceland and local life, the farming community, a lot on the Vikings as well, and sort of their path through Iceland. So very much history attached, but then also they talk about how Iceland is one of the eco countries of the world, and certainly Reykjavík is one of the most eco-friendly cities in the world. So there's certainly a lot surrounding that as well. So and we generally have lectures on every day, sometimes twice a day, in the Star Theatre to certainly quench our thirst when it comes to all things Icelandic.
Wonderful.
That's why we're called the Thinking Person's Cruise, because everybody's there to really learn and come back with sort of more information about the country than they went away with.
Thank you, Neil. Now we've got lots and lots of questions coming in about the Northern Lights. So I wonder if you could just tell us whether it's possible to see them on this journey.
It's not possible to see them on this journey. Unfortunately, you're travelling at the wrong time of year. So if you're travelling to Scandinavia, the Baltic or Northern Europe in the summer months, it's very, very long days, long nights, and above the Arctic Circle, you'll get the midnight sun, so you'll get 24 hours of daylight. And to see the Northern Lights, you have to go at the other time of the year. So, for example, we offer In Search of the Northern Lights cruise from January through to March. And that itinerary operates from the UK, from Tilbury, which is about an hour outside London. And it will take you right up above the Arctic Circle, up towards Tromsø. You'll spend nights in Alta, so you'll go inland in Norway. And that is a fantastic opportunity to try and see the Northern Lights. So when I mentioned earlier in the summer months and you travel to Scandinavia, you get long days and then it's like a twilight, sort of for about 2 or 3 hours, midnight to about 2 or 3 in the morning. If you travel the other time of the year at the Northern Lights, you get the Polaris, or the polar light, which is a long sort of darker days, but it's not like, as I said, it's not like it's sort of pitch black where you can't see anything. You have got this polar light, but that's certainly the best time to try and see the Northern Lights. So my advice, obviously, is do both. Go to Iceland in the summer and see the midnight sun, or go up on or In Search of the Midnight Sun cruise in the summer months, and then do Northern Lights in the winter.
Fantastic. Thank you, Neil. Question here from Lucy. She's in Rochelle in the United States, and she says, will there be Icelandic food available to try on board the ship?
Thanks, Lucy. I guess there will. So generally, in the chef's table, we do the tasting menu, and that happens every 3 nights. And on occasion, you'll find that you'll have a menu which reflects the destination that you're in. Alternatively, up in the World Cafe, you generally find that we will have local delicacies and something that will give you a flavour of Iceland or the region that you're in. Likewise, that's also in the evening and at lunchtime. And on occasion, certainly when I've been on the ship out on the Akureyri terrace, if the weather's good during the afternoon, we sometimes have the chefs out cooking local cuisine from the area as well. So there's definitely an opportunity to experience that. And just on the ship and the restaurants, remember when I talk about the chef's table, which is the alternative restaurant, there's absolutely no charge to dine in these restaurants. Like many other cruise lines that will charge you a handsome fee to dine in these restaurants, at Viking we don't. So it's very good value.
Excellent. Thank you, Neil. Question here from Ashton. He's in Mojave Valley in the United States, and he says, which extension would you recommend booking for someone who's never been to Iceland before?
I would, so I'm just having another slight problem with my technology. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, all good.
Yeah, excellent. So there's a few different. The first thing I would say whenever you're booking an excursion or an extension is, are you planning on going back to that part of the world? Because if it's a one-off, and if you're travelling from the States, it can be a long old trip over to Iceland. Make the most of it. So if you think, actually, I'm going to go to Iceland every year, you might want to just do the standard cruise. But actually, if you think, it's a once in a lifetime, it's on my bucket list, I want to see it, then I would certainly book the extension. So we offer one in Reykjavík, so you can extend your stay in Reykjavík by another couple of nights. And Reykjavík is a fascinating city. It's certainly not the one of the cheapest places to visit. So when you're on board the ship, it's very, very good value, especially when you look at the prices in some of the restaurants or bars in Reykjavík versus the inclusive nature of our product and what's included on the ship. So definitely say spend a couple of nights in Reykjavík. Go off independently. You can spend some time in the thermal baths or just explore the city. Now, the other option that we do is also one that takes you to Greenland. And I went to Greenland, must be 15 years ago now, and I was absolutely blown away by Greenland. It was fascinating. It was, you're going there again really for the sort of rugged nature, similar to Iceland. You're going there for the rugged nature of the region, the icebergs, obviously, and you can take a smaller boat out to visit the icebergs, but it's just fascinating culture, and it was just really, really unique destination. So definitely recommend doing the Greenland extension if you're planning on going to that part of the world. It's like when you're flying transatlantic from the UK over to the States or vice versa. Generally when you look out the window at midway point, and if the weather's great, you just see Greenland in all its glory. And I think it's one of the places that everybody says, "Oh wow, we'd really love to visit there." So I was blown away with it. It was a really unique experience and one that I'll treasure. So if you're planning on going to Iceland, definitely try and take the Greenland extension.
Fantastic. Thank you, Neil. A question here from Jane. She's in Liverpool in the United Kingdom, and she says, I'm visiting Iceland as part of one of your cruises next year in August, and I've never been before. What temperatures can I expect, and what do you think the weather will be like?
Thanks, Jane. I'd love to give you an idea of what the weather is going to be like. Who would have thought it would have been 41 degrees in the UK yesterday? Iceland has not really experienced the heat wave that the UK's had of late. So temperature-wise, anything really sort of between about 14 degrees and 17 degrees centigrade, which is about 58 to around 63 Fahrenheit. And again, that can vary, but always, as I said in the presentation, pack in layers. So do take layers with you. You can always, take a jumper or a cardigan off if it's warm. Always be prepared for showers. But it's so unpredictable, the weather at the moment. But certainly in Iceland, the average temperature in summer is sort of 14 to 17, and obviously that can vary as well. But don't take your sunshades with you and take your suntan cream, because you never know how changeable it will be. It's about, as I said, between 14 and 16, 17 degrees.
Thank you. We've got Donna here in Atlanta in the United States, and she says, will there be an opportunity to soak in any hot springs?
Thanks, Donna. Yes, there is. We offer several optional excursions depending on which part of the island that you're in, where you can visit the hot springs. And I would thoroughly recommend booking these in advance, because I know a lot of people have been disappointed about, arriving over there, want to go to the hot springs, and then find out you can't actually get on the excursion or get there. And that's if you look at something like the Blue Lagoon, which is easily accessible, certainly from the Reykjavík area, and we're taking certainly advanced registration, so definitely book in advance for that. Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the reasons that you go to Iceland, to bathe in the hot springs, so it's certainly a possibility.
Fantastic, thank you. We have Bernice in Willows in the United States, and she asks, whereabouts will the ship dock in Reykjavík? Will it be within walking distance of the centre?
Thanks, Bernice. Yes, it will be. There's a couple of docking spots in Reykjavík. One's around 10. I'd have to double check exactly what docking point that we're in. One is around about like a 10-minute drive or so, excuse me, into centre of Reykjavík, and one is easy accessible by foot. So that is possible. And generally on a majority of our stops, where maybe it is a short drive into town, we offer complimentary shuttle buses to take you in, which is, again, very unlike many of our competitors out there that will charge you for it. It's complimentary with us, but because we're such a small ship, generally we get prime docking locations within easy walking distance of the town centre where possible. So you're never far away from where you dock in Reykjavík. It's easily accessible, short walk on foot, or maximum 7 to 10 drive into Reykjavík.
Fantastic, thank you. We've got Debbie here in the United States, and she asks, is there time to do both kayaking and an ATV tour during this cruise?
Thanks, Debbie. Yes, there is. And if you've got time, depending on how long they're docked in each destination, you might be able to do one in the morning or one in the afternoon. But looking at the excursions that we offer in Iceland, there's lots of possibilities, or a couple of possibilities anyway, to do both on different days. So it's not to overlap, so an absolute possibility to do that. And I think, like I said earlier with the extensions, when you're in Iceland, you want to experience everything. You're there, it's, yes, the beauty of the destination, but it's also about experiencing sort of some of the rugged beauty, whether that's quite an energetic rock climb or whether it's going kayaking. You want to experience all that Iceland's got to offer. So we sort of tailor make the excursions so that you can make the most out of it, so that there's not too many that overlap, so you can't do one and not the other. So it's certainly a possibility for what you want to do in Iceland, probably on different days rather than the same days and in different destinations. So yeah, absolutely possible.
Brilliant, thank you. We've got a couple of questions here about people who've got slightly more limited mobility and walking. So overall, would you say this is a suitable cruise for people who don't want to go walking every day?
Thanks. Yeah, yes, it is actually, because you've always got your included excursion, which is sometimes it's a walking tour, but we have everything from moderate to extreme level, if you like, and a lot of the included tours are on motor coach as well, so you can just come off the ship, sit back, relax, and let the motor coach take the strain and take you around all the points of interest. So again, that's a great thing. We're there's not one size fits all. We have various types of excursion depending on your mobility. So 100%, don't let that put you off. You will have a fantastic time in Iceland, and you'll be able to pick and choose the excursions that suit your needs. And remember, we have the Quiet Vox Quiet Vox headphones, so you can listen to what the tour guide's saying, and you can go at your own pace. So you're not having to huddle around the guide, listening to what they're saying and keep up with everybody else. If you want to go at a more leisurely pace, with your Quiet Vox headset, sorry, I can't get my words out tonight. With your Quiet Vox headset, you'll be able to listen to everything that the guide has to say, while going at your own pace.
Excellent, thank you, Neil. We've got a question here from Kaylee in Shelter Island, New York, and she says, can you tell us a bit about what evenings are like on board? And then we also have a question from Harry in Upper Chichester, United States, and he asks, what is the dress code in the evenings on board?
Thanks, Kaylee. Thanks, Harry. To answer the second point first, the dress code, very, very casual on board. There's no tuxedos and ball gowns required. It's all very relaxed. We have no formal nights, and there's no dining with the captain or at the captain's table. So it's all very relaxed. We just generally say, obviously, long trousers. You're permitted to wear shorts in the World Cafe. That's a much more, relaxed environment for, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. In the main restaurant in Manfredi's, which is the Italian, and the chef's table, which is the tasting menu, we would say just long trousers, and for ladies, just however you feel comfortable, slacks or a dress or something. So no formal nights. You don't have to take, lots of suitcases with different attire in it. It's relaxed and informal and understated on board. And to Kaylee's question, what are the evenings like on board? Well, they can be as energetic or as relaxed as you like. I think the great thing about our ships is there's always something going on in each venue. So again, if you go with some of the massive cruise liners out there that are taking, 5,000 passengers, you have first sitting, you have second sitting, you have show 1 at 7:30, show 2 at 9:30. With ours, it's a lot more relaxed and informal. So, you might want to have a drink in the living room, which is the atrium area of the ship, and listen to the string quartet or the guitarist that we have on board, and go up to the Explorers Lounge, and you might want to listen to something that's going on there. So if they say the string quartet's in the living room, you might find the guitarist up in the Explorers Lounge. We have Dancing Under the Stars on a few of the nights on the cruise, which is up in the pool deck area. And we've got the covered roof that can open depending on how the weather is. And you've got the Viking band, and you've got the entertainment team up there that play music, and you can get up and have a dance. We've then also got some shows that will take place. So we've got, maybe you'll listen to some music by the Beatles, or we've got ABBA on board. You've then got some guest lecturers that are taking place. We have movies under the stars, where again we give you a Bluetooth headset. We put on one of the latest movies up in pool deck. We turn the sun lounger around. We give you a nice cozy blanket and some popcorn, and you can relax and watch one of the latest movies. And then to round off your evening, we've got Tórshavn. And I have to say, the amount of times that I've been on the ship and I've said to some guests, "Oh, did you enjoy your evening in Tórshavn?" And they'll say, "Tórshavn? Oh, I don't know where Tórshavn is. I've never got to Tórshavn," because it's a very, very discreet location on deck 2. And it's, sort of from really about 9 o'clock onwards, you have the Viking band playing in there. So you can go for a dance and listen to some music, and it's a brilliant venue. So, it can be really as lively or as quiet as you like. That's do it all. You're on holiday. You're on vacation, so you're away for at least 7 nights. You might as well try each venue that you want to do.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Neil. A question now from Carol in Cincinnati, and she says, generally, how long is the ship in port in each destination?
Thanks, Carol. So on Iceland, you have overnight in Reykjavík. So really depending on your flight time, if you're traveling from the States into Reykjavík, you'll maybe arrive sort of early to mid-morning. So you'll have the whole day, and then up till about sort of early afternoon of the following day. And then generally we dock at around sort of 8 in the morning. And there's only one anchor port on this itinerary as well, where you would take the tender into town, and the rest it's docking shoreside. And you're generally there for, around sort of anything between 7 to 10 hours, really, depending on the port that you're in. That'll give you a chance to do maybe an included excursion and an optional. And if you just want to do an included excursion and then go off the ship independently, then that's certainly possible too. So we generally try and spend sort of more time in port. And the great thing about this itinerary, and actually most of our itineraries, is that excuse me, you've got a different port every day, so there's no sea days. So you really are getting the best of what the country has to offer. But you will get around certainly around 7 hours, maybe in at 8 in the morning, and you're leaving maybe sort of 5 or 6 p.m. in the evening.
Thank you, Neil. A question here from Bob in San Diego, and he asks, what sort of food should we look out for in Iceland? What are their specialities?
Seafood, Bob. That's the big one. All different types of seafood. Fresh from certainly prawns to various other fish dishes and meat dishes. If I'm honest, I can't actually remember what the sort of national dishes. Generally, it's salmon. Salmon, boiled potatoes are very, very popular up there, but fresh seafood are some of the local delicacy and the local food that you should be looking out for. And if you are a fan of seafood, then I definitely recommend the World Cafe in the evening, where we have one of the most fabulous seafood buffets at sea, I would say, which will certainly give you a taste of Iceland.
Wonderful, thank you, Neil. I think that's pretty much all we've got time for tonight. So we'll just finish with one question here from Annette in the United States. And she just asks, in your opinion, what are the unmissable highlights in Iceland?
Thanks, Annette. There's so many, if I'm honest. I think in terms of excursions, I would definitely take the one to the volcano, because that's a really unique experience. I would do kayaking, give you a taste of life out in the sea, and also try and do one of the glacier excursions as well. So you're getting sort of 3 different aspects of life in Greenland, really, from Greenland and Iceland, so from the volcanic side to the seaside to the glacier. It's sort of each to their own in terms of really what the highlights for an individual are. But certainly for me, it's discovering local life, and it's discovering, you're there to see, how Iceland is vastly different from most parts of Europe, as in Greenland. So it's really all about, for me, it's local life and culture that I take away from it. But certainly doing 2 or 3 of the optional excursions to give you a sort of flavour of life outside the communities, and sort of maybe being energised by going up to the extinct volcano is certainly one of my highlights. On saying that, though, I would probably say bathing in thermal springs. Many people have done it in New Zealand. If you're heading over to Iceland, it is a must-do, and it will certainly sort of lie with you forever, really. So that would be my choice.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Neil, for answering so many questions tonight.
No problem. I said, sorry it was a shorter presentation, and hopefully I've answered most of the questions. If there's anything that I've not answered, or you want to know more information, please go through to our contact centre, and they'll be pleased to answer any questions that you have. The other thing that I will say is, although this is a 7-night itinerary, as I mentioned in the presentation, we do have a 12-night itinerary, which gives you a more in-depth view of Iceland. And also we have another itinerary which will take you up to Svalbard in the very north of Norway, home of the polar bear, and Greenland, and combine Iceland as well, and you'll get all the information on Viking.com. So thank you very much for watching, and thanks, Heather, for asking the questions. Hopefully I've answered as best as I can some of the questions that you've got, and I'll hopefully see you again on Viking.TV soon. So thank you very much, and have a good day, afternoon or evening, wherever in the world you are. Thank you.